close to $1 million in volume being traded right now on the Offensive Player of the Year. If you did put $100 down on Jonathan Taylor, that would pay back $143, so a 43% increase on your money that you had. There are a lot of long shots in here, but it doesn't feel like those would be good bets. Like, hey, I'm going to put it on Justin Herbert. Well, yeah, if Justin Herbert wins it, Joe, a $100 wager would pay back $10,000. They even have a market for if you want to bet Malik Neighbors.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They love Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
What are those things called?
A shooting star.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that one. Like, it just burns up quick, and you love it while you can see it, and bing, it's gone in the blink of an eye.
Right.
That's my fear for Cam Scatterby.
Yeah, and that's not a big deal, but I will say it's weird, and it seems like he really enjoys that attention, which is all fine because he's a young guy.
Yeah.
But possibly dangerous in a city like New York.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
The future of the prediction markets, I think, at least for now, may be in the hands of the federal courts. But the good news for those who support prediction markets is that these court battles may last for another 2 to 3 years before we get clarity around the law. And nominee Seelig was handpicked by Donald Trump, not because he was neutral on prediction markets, but because he would do nothing to slow it down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
Are you ready for Thanksgiving? Well, you should be. It's tomorrow, and it's a feast of football, family, friends, and much more. Heading into Black Friday, spend some money, buy that TV Saturday and Sunday. Tremendous college football and also NFL action. It's our job today on the Early Line to get you ready for this holiday week finish here, which is going to be tremendous. I'm Donnie Rightside. He is Joe Ranieri. This is the Early Line on the SportsGrid Network, and you know the drill. We got 2 hours to prep you, 2 hours to set the table for the rest of your SportsGrid day. We will make sure you are ready to go. Isn't that right, Joe?
That is absolutely correct, Donnie. We got a lot going on here over the next, 72 hours or so. There is a lot happening by the time we see you again on Monday.
Oh, there is a lot to get down to and a lot to have fun with. And also, make sure you are living your life to the fullest, which means waking up with us, grabbing a cup of Joe, getting the latest information that you're just about to get now.
Well, Donnie, today I think we need to finally say goodbye to a once great Giants. And I am talking about the Florida State Seminoles football program. As we are getting ready for one of the greatest weeks in all of college football, rivalry week, the Michigans versus the Ohio States of the world, the Georgia versus Georgia Tech. And then it dawned on me last night, we got Florida and Florida State this weekend. And boy, oh boy, you talk about two programs heading in two totally different directions. We already learned this week that one of the biggest brands in the history of college football officially announced that they are, okay with being average, Donnie. In a year where schools like Florida, Penn State, and LSU, they're firing coaches midseason because, good isn't good enough. Florida State looked at a 5-6 record, looked at a 2-6 ACC conference record and said, hey, you know what? We're good. Mike Norvell, he's our guy. You've got to be kidding me. This is Florida State. This is the program that the legendary Bobby Bowden built. This is a place that used to always have a seat and eat national championships for breakfast. It was national championship or bust. And now? Now they're 7-17 since getting left out of the playoff in 2023. 7-17. That's not a slump, Donnie. That's a collapse. And that is one of the biggest falls from grace that we have seen. Remember when they hired and then fired Willie Taggart? Remember the athletic director came out and said, listen, frankly, 6-6 isn't good enough. Well, apparently the exchange rate on mediocrity has gone up in Tallahassee because now 5-6 gets you a vote of confidence and another year on the sideline. And don't tell me about the 13-0 season. That might as well have been a lifetime ago. Outside of those 2 good years, Norvell is 15-19. His recruiting classes are consistently some of the worst in FSU history. Oh, and by the way, he hasn't won a road game in 2 years. They are keeping him because of an apparent $60 million buyout. And that's it, Donnie. They are letting a spreadsheet make football decisions at Florida State now. In an era where SEC schools and Big Ten schools are paying $50, $80 million checks just to get away from bad coaches, Florida State is apparently counting pennies. So congratulations, Florida State. You saved some money, but you lost your college football soul. You have accepted mediocrity. You have lowered the bar so far that it's actually buried underground. And somewhere, our good friend, Coach Terry Bowden's dad, is shaking his head. The standards used to be championships. Now, Donnie, the standard is let's save a few bucks in a budget. Rest in peace to one of the once greatest college football programs.
You are so right about that, too. And it's only about the dollars. They just don't want to compete anymore at this point. Mike Norvell, with that record, should have been shown the door last year. Definitely midseason this year. And they go, we just can't afford to pay this guy and then go after a top-name coach who might bring us back to relevance. We'll just ride out the mediocrity for one more season. It's amazing how far some of the top teams in the ACC have fallen as of late. But just the times, the 80s and 90s and the early 2000s ruled by Florida State. No more. No more is it a big-time victory to go into Florida State and get a win or even beat them on the road because, frankly, as Joe just laid out, everybody beats Florida State nowadays in the way we go here. Let's get to the early lineup because apparently everybody's going to be beating the Carolina Panthers. Well, because they're down multiple players now in their secondary. Mostly it's because of concussions, J.C. Horn, or broken legs, or it's just that you punched another man in his jewels and got a one-game suspension, which Trayvon Mooring did do here. He's out of game, deservedly so.
Well, yeah, but it was so funny because after the game, Mooring actually said, yeah, I expect to get fined. Well, you got fined, and not only did you get fined, but you're actually now suspended. So congratulations, but ultimately, is it really going to matter against the Rams anyway? You wouldn't even known he was out on the field anyway.
By the way, the Rams are possibly down 3 starters in their secondary, taking on that Rams offense. Good luck to the Carolina Panthers trying to win that NFC South here. Brandon Cooks found himself another team added to the Buffalo Bills roster. This shows you how in-depth the Bills needed a wideout. They knew this at the trade deadline, and their GM's like, well, I don't want to put the future in peril. What? By offering a third-round pick for a wide receiver? Now you're picking up Brandon Cooks as if this is going to be the tonic to all your ails. Nonsense.
How crazy is it, Donnie, that maybe the craziest part about this story is the fact that Brandon Cooks was the New Orleans Saints, and I had no idea he was on the Saints. I had no idea that he was even playing in the NFL. I'm like, Brandon Cooks, didn't he? Oh, yeah, no, they got him from the Saints. What? Unbelievable. But, hey, listen, anything at this point, right? They couldn't get that big trade during the deadline. Well, I guess Brandon Cooks will do.
Exactly. And all that talent at wide receiver for the New Orleans Saints. No wonder Cooks couldn't find a home there, Joe. Amari Hampton, he's going to come back sooner than later here. This is really good news. One of the more talented rookies that you thought would bolster that Charger offense, looking to get back into the fold here, back at Charger practice.
Well, yeah, I mean, they need him to run the ball, but they also need him to be able to block, too, Donnie, because they still are missing both starting tackles here. And yeah, he is going to be a welcome sight there for sore eyes at camp there for the Chargers.
Hey, newsflash, can we go to Kalshi and find the odds for this? LeBron James saying it might not be his last season. Let me understand this. Like, when superstars bow out, they want that, I'm going to go around the NBA for 82 games. I'm going to get my flowers from every single city. There's no way LeBron James plays out this season and goes, I'm not coming back next year. 1,000%. This is not his final season right now.
I think it all depends on how this ends, Donnie, this year, right? I think that's all. I think this story and narrative is going to change as we continue to move on through the season. This will all depend on how good this team is come April.
Sixers got beat so bad I didn't even watch yesterday. So apparently Jalen Suggs got tossed for a fight, and it still didn't even matter. The Magic rolled the Sixers.
Yeah, that wasn't much of a fight, Donnie. I mean, that was I don't know what was crazier, the fact that that Jalen Suggs in a 50-point game somehow managed to get tossed, or the fact that the Atlanta Hawks got blown out by the 1-win Washington Wizards last night. Crazy in the NBA.
By the way, you see the lineup here. It says Sonny Gray. We're not going to get to Sonny Gray because this topic is sensational. Cristiano Ronaldo, who FIFA's always saying, we are so strict, we're by the rules, there's no changes. The world's biggest superstar might have missed some games in the World Cup. FIFA goes, let's suspend that red card that you just got here. Welcome into the World Cup. And for people out there that are upset about it, don't you understand how sports, money, and ratings work? There is no way Cristiano Ronaldo was going to be held out of World Cup games in the United States. It's amazing where you can bend the rules, but when you really look deeply, do you really understand why that rule was there? Who is it actually for? You're going to suspend, hey, 3 months ago, I got a penalty in some other game that I can't play in the World Cup. Nonsense. The superstars are going to play, and now they're playing.
You know what they should have done? They should have just vacated a couple of wins that he had. Like,
yes,
we're going to take away like two of Portugal's wins, but he's fine for the World Cup. Don't worry about it. He'll be there. Unreal.
I mean, you got to be kidding me. Like, I saw that story pop out and be like, this is a shame. This is a stain on FIFA. No, it's not. Everybody wants to see the biggest players in the biggest competition. Stop it. I don't even have any idea where that stupid rule is there. You got a red card somewhere else. You can't play in another tournament. Stop it. We're just getting started right here. Come on back with us. It's the early line on a Turkey Day Wednesday.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I
He
said earlier.
got hit behind the line of scrimmage. He got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Oh, the spread lines are hot today. They are. Why? This is one of the most fun weekends you can possibly have here as a human being and also as a sports fan. Tonight, what are you going to do? Go out to the bar with a couple high school friends, man, have some pops. Remember those football games we used to play? Hey, look, Jenny over there still looks good from a couple years ago. Let me go talk to her. That's what happens tonight. It's Wednesday night. And make sure this PSA out there, Joe Ranieri. I know you can back this up. Go out. Have a great time. Don't bring the keys with you, man. Grab the Uber tonight. You want to have a good time with all your friends. I don't care how old you are, 21 years old, 41 years old, 61 years old. call a cab tonight, get an Uber tonight, have a friend as a designated driver so you can wake up tomorrow and enjoy time with your family. Very important. We get that PSA out here, Joe. And also, we got Ole Miss and Mississippi State in the Egg Bowl. I don't even want to set the table for this. I am just going to ask you what this spread line is because, my goodness, it could take 10 minutes.
Well, I think most people on Friday, and this is a noon kickoff, are going to be more interested for this game to hurry up and be over because that's the new level of intrigue that we have with the Lane Kiffin Express, the impending decision. This has got shades of like the whole LeBron thing with the Miami Heat, right? Back in the day, like where's Jim Gray? Is he showing up here at the Egg Bowl to interview Kiffin afterwards for the announcement? The reality is this line opened up right around 6.5, and we've seen it move up to about 7 in a lot of spots. But there is a little pushback. Why? Because it's a huge distraction for the Rebels. You got to be kidding me. They already have in the back pocket, they know, win and you're in the college football playoff. You don't have to play in the SEC championship. If they win this game, and heck, Don, even if they don't win this game, they're likely in the college football playoff. So what are you going to get from a locker room that is waiting, just like everyone else, whether or not Kiffin is going to be there next year, or heck, is he even going to be coaching them during the postseason here? So I would not be shocked if this line continues to move towards Mississippi State.
It's great, too, because, and the people out there that go, you better win this game. You telling me that Florida and LSU are like, shit, you didn't win the Egg Bowl. We're just going to rescind this $90 million or knock it down to $55 million. Stop it. The one thing we do know, the only shocking thing would be he wins that Egg Bowl and goes, it's never going anywhere anyway. Just wanted to bring out the drama, and away we go into the college football playoff. He's going to leave. The question is, should he just left before the Egg Bowl? We'll certainly find that out. How about Texas A&M and Texas? A&M punching their ticket already into the college football playoff regardless of how this game ends. This is only a 2.5-point line as a favorite to the road team A&M over at Texas. Can Arch Manning and Sark step up one more time and knock a 0 into a 1 in the loss column for A&M? What's your spread line here?
Well, this is obviously, I think, the biggest game on Friday outside of the Lane Kiffin news here. This will be 7:30 Eastern time, Donnie, on Friday. And listen, the Aggies are trying to do the whole perfect regular season and, more importantly, avoid any of the tiebreaker scenarios, because if they do lose this game, then they're tied with Georgia, they're tied with Ole Miss, they could be tied with Alabama in the SEC conference standings, and Texas is probably, it wins over Notre Dame, and maybe if they can win this game, we've always said it, right? They have an opportunity to beat a 1-3 loss team that could actually sneak in. Now, this line has been, look ahead, mostly around 2.5. We're starting to see a little extra juice now being tacked on. I don't think this ever gets to 3, Donnie. So to me, my suggestion would be pick the winner and bet it on the money line. Who do you think? Does Texas get the outright upset, or do you think Texas A&M finishes the perfect season? I wouldn't even mess with the spread.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sort of leaning towards a foil that perfect season with Texas. We'll find out there, certainly. How about Ohio State and Michigan? Big game here. Why? If Michigan wins, Joe, they throw the ultimate wrench in the college football playoff. Ohio State's supposed to win. They're favored by double digits in this game. It is on the road with a low total, 44.5 to 43.5, depending on where you're shopping at. Freezing temperatures expected for this game on Saturday. I love the drama of this one, Joe. What's your spread line here?
I cannot wait to see where this line goes, Donnie. There are a ton of factors in play here. Obviously, Michigan has won 4 now in a row, I think, over Ohio State. So we've seen this 10.5-point line kind of be stuck in the mud here. Will it continue to rise? And you mentioned the weather conditions there. We also know Ohio State's top 2 wide receivers, not exactly fully healthy here. But, the Ohio State defense has only given up 68 total points in 8 games. So this might only be first 1 to 20, Donnie, ends up winning this game. So I think there's going to be a lot more love in the total in this game than there might be somebody running to the window and hurry up and lay in the 10.5. I don't know that it moves much more than where it is, but I think the total is the one that we're going to see drop.
especially last year. Take a look at the game where Ohio State was just supposed to roll Michigan. Michigan shows up and basically felt like they ran a wildcat the whole game and out-physicaled Ohio State and beat them. Then Ohio State goes on to win a national championship. Fun theater and fun drama to watch it play out. How about on Turkey Day, Joe? Final game of the night, 8:20 p.m. Eastern. Joe is back. I don't mean Joe Ranieri. That's Joe Burrow taking on Lamar Jackson. Touchdown spread here. What's your spread line?
Donnie, look at what we saw originally before we knew anything about Burrow. 10.5. Then we saw 9.5. And we saw, all of a sudden 9, 8.5, now 7.5. And like, what are people thinking Burrow is going to be doing here? So I don't know. The line continues to move towards Joe Burrow and the Cincinnati Bengals, who won't have Higgins. They'll have Chase back. But I think this line tells you everything you need to know about the current state of the Ravens, Donnie. And I don't know that there's going to be buyback here. I really don't. I think what you see now is what you're going to get by kickoff.
No, you're right about that. I went back and watched that game again against the Jets, just the offensive side for the Ravens. This isn't your grandfather's Ravens of 3 to 4 years ago, as we like to say. They are not that explosive team right now. We'll see if that changes. One other game we'll hit, Houston and Indianapolis. Important game in the AFC South, Joe. 4.5-point favorite for Indy at home. C.J. Stroud coming back in a total of 44.5. What's your spread line here?
Well, I mean, listen, this is a huge game for the AFC South standings, and who knew that we were going to get it here? I'll tell you this. This is the first game for Indy back home, Donnie, since October 26th.
Yeah,
they've been all over the world and the country, and we know they're a pretty good team at home, and we have seen nothing but Colts money so far this week, and I think that continues as we get closer to kick.
Feeling an under in that game, too, for some reason, Joe. Defenses get clawing out there, and away we go. Let's start to preview some of those Thanksgiving Day games, people. It's what we do on the grid. We'll be right back.
He's the fan favorite. They love talking about Stafford, the 38-year-old guy. He's the Super Bowl champ. We got the family. Any opportunity to pump McVay and Stafford as a team, they do that. They love this team. They loved Aaron Donald, and rightfully so. Best defensive player, but they love to pump up Stafford.
Pro Football Today, only on SportsGrid.
When you look at Duke, you got to look at Cam Boozer. 18 points. The Bruiser, I may call him. 18 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. I know he shot the ball 1 of 4 from 3, but he's showing his ability to really be a different player than his dad. A little bit more dynamic, a little bit more athletic.
College Basketball Today, only on SportsGrid.
Ashton Genty has been hit behind the line of scrimmage more than any player in the National Football League. Yep. So you just gave him the ball in the end zone. Do the math. How's that going to work out?
It's like what I said earlier.
You got hit behind the line of scrimmage. You got tackled in the end zone.
Yeah.
Oh, they're terrible. But the thing is, Brady, you draft offensive linemen before you draft a star running back. Like they went backwards.
In-game live, only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
Get down to the business, Joe. There's 3 games tomorrow on Thanksgiving Day. By the way, before we get to the games itself, we're going to start with the Green Bay-Detroit game. The advent of the third game that rotates. I really like that. But let me ask you this question. For years and years and years, I used to get so upset. Now, the rules have changed across the NFL with how they're able to schedule games, where Dallas and Detroit for 25 years always had the advantage of playing on Thanksgiving at home. You say, well, Donnie, what kind of advantage is that? Well, they never would let them play that short week on the road. So every year I would look on the schedule and be like, does my team have a home Thursday night game or are they playing on the road? Well, Dallas and Detroit always had that home Thursday night game, but never had to play on a short week on the road on a Thursday night. That was their game there. How do you feel about the tradition of Detroit and Dallas playing every single year, same times there?
Yeah, and then they alternate like the Packers or the Chiefs. Yeah. And, it's always been the same half a dozen teams, the Giants, it would always rotate. It's become tradition. And these teams, it's kind of baked into who these teams are, right? Every year, Donnie, they know exactly what's happening here. There's no surprises. And quite honestly, if I'm if I'm the 49ers or I'm, I'm okay with that. Like, I'm good. Like, you guys have Thanksgiving. We're good. We'll play the traditional, either a Friday game or a Sunday game. I think it's more of a hassle than it is anything else for teams.
By the way, also, the funny parts about growing up, Joe, and I don't even mean you have to be like that old. Like, you'd be like, okay, we're going to travel during the Detroit game because they're going to get killed. Right. And then we'll all sit down and watch the Dallas Cowboys game and root against them. And obviously, me being from the Northeast, and turkey tasted better when the Cowboys lose. But it was always the Detroit was the throw-in game while you travel because Detroit used to get hammered and there was no reason to watch that game. Now Detroit's good, and we got a great game to start our day off tomorrow, Joe.
Well, there was one reason to watch Detroit, Donnie.
Yeah.
There was only one reason back then to watch Detroit, and that was to watch Barry Sanders rip off at some point in a 30-point loss. One of the most unbelievable runs where he just bulldozed and trucked 12 people on his way to the end zone. So that was the only reason to catch a Detroit Lions game growing up back in the day.
Now we got a good one tomorrow, Joe. 2.5-point line opened up that price. Hasn't moved from that price, and I quite agree. I think it's the right number. 48.5 to 49.5 here. Love is going to take on Goff. A big, big game. And by the way, a big NFC North weekend here. Forget about Minnesota. It's going to get wasted in Seattle. You got the Bears going to Philadelphia. Now you have this game, Detroit and Green Bay. What are you thinking about this one?
Well, I don't think this is getting back to 3. I think we talked about that yesterday on the spread lines. I think what you see is what you get. I think you're also going to see a ton of teaser options here with a lot of folks using the Packers, getting them up to 8.5. But I'm at a loss with both of these offenses, Donnie. I don't know that I trust either. I don't know that we can rely upon a couple of 12 touches and, 3 80-yard touchdowns from Jahmyr Gibbs, which appears to be what the Lions are doing right now. And the Packers, we've been saying it for how long now? They lost Tucker Kraft and they lost their offense. They have nobody who can stretch the field. I think this is going to be one of the lower scoring games. I know everyone will look at Detroit and be like, oh, right, they're going to drop 40 points. They didn't drop 40 points the first time they played, and I doubt very much they're going to drop them here. Short week, it's advantage Detroit, but I like the total more than I like the side here.
Do you like the over, Joe, or do you like the under in this game?
I like the under. I'm all about the unders on a Thanksgiving here. With these two defenses and suspect offenses, there's no reason to think that either of these offenses, Donnie, I think can flip a switch, and all of a sudden everything's going to be great. Dan Campbell's calling plays, folks.
Exactly. And I just look at that Packers defense, which is so good. It's going to be on turf. Micah Parsons going to be supercharged. Jared Goff can't move off the spot. And it's just, again, feels like it's Amon-Ra St. Brown in the passing game and Jahmyr Gibbs in the running game. Take one of those guys away, the Packers are going to struggle. I'm not saying take them away. Just slow them down just a little bit. I'm with you on that. Jahmyr Gibbs touchdown prop minus 195. Of course it is. Because if he scores, if you look at Detroit and say they're going to get 2 touchdowns in this game, you could probably factor 1. Here's the interesting one. It's Josh Jacobs and Emmanuel Wilson at minus 140 apiece. We just don't know if or when we're going to see Josh Jacobs in that football game. So keep an eye on those practice reports, which are basically done for the week for them. They'll have one walkthrough today. But tomorrow, if Jacobs is down, Wilson's a probably good look again. He got a lot of carries last week, but then could muddy the backfield if both of those guys play. Should be a fun game tomorrow to watch it play out. But I got to tell you, that 2.5, Joe, sitting right there. And I'm saying, man, I'm on that fence line. Like, it's hard to win on a Thursday in the road in a tough game. If I had to pick free bet, I'm probably taking the Packers, Joe. I am.
It's so funny, Donnie, because last year was the first Thanksgiving Day win for Detroit since 2016. And now all of a sudden we're going to make it 2 in a row. It should be a fun one.
Let's go to Chiefs and Cowboys next. Mahomes on the road. Can he get it done this week? We'll find out.
The future of the prediction markets, I think, at least for now, may be in the hands of the federal courts. But the good news for those who support prediction markets is that these court battles may last for another 2 to 3 years before we get clarity around the law. And nominee Seelig was handpicked by Donald Trump, not because he was neutral on prediction markets, but because he would do nothing to slow it down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
A huge number out there on Cason Wallace to win Defensive Player of the Year at 500 to 1. That is worth your attention. And a number that I talked about before the season that I still think should be lower is Mark Daigneault to win Coach of the Year at 11 to 1 in the NBA. If they win 70, he's a lock for top 3. If they win 73, it's his.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
What are those things called?
A shooting star.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that one. Like it just burns up quick. And you love it while you can see it, and bing, it's gone in the blink of an eye.
Right.
That's my fear for Cam Scatterby.
Yeah, and that's not a big deal, but I will say it's weird, and it seems like he really enjoys that attention, which is all fine because he's a young guy.
Yeah.
But possibly dangerous in a city like New York.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Close to $1 million in volume being traded right now in the Offensive Player of the Year. If you did put $100 down on Jonathan Taylor, that would pay back $143, so a 43% increase on your money that you had. There are a lot of long shots in here, but it doesn't feel like those would be good bets. Like, hey, I'm going to put it on Justin Herbert. Well, yeah, if Justin Herbert wins it, Joe, a $100 wager would pay back $10,000. They even have a market for if you want to bet Malik Neighbors.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Game number 2 on Thanksgiving Day, 4:30 p.m. kickoff. It's the Kansas City Chiefs and the Dallas Cowboys. This game was set up to be dead on arrival on Sunday midway through those games. The Philadelphia Eagles had a 21-0 lead over Dallas, and it looked like the Indianapolis Colts in the second half with a double-digit lead over the Chiefs. We're going to walk away victors and left with this game as, yeah, we'll watch because it's Thanksgiving, but not a lot of meaning. That's not the case anymore. Dallas back into the playoff picture, at least has a heartbeat, and you take a look at Kansas City off of the carpet as well. This line, Joe, opened up as a look ahead at 4.5 as a favorite towards the Chiefs. We now see 3.5s and 3s in the marketplace, and a total that has climbed up from the high 40s into the 52.5 range, depending once again which book you're looking at here. Kansas City and Dallas on Thanksgiving. It's an interesting one for me because as you set it up, like you can never really kill Kansas City. It feels like, Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, you always have a chance. Defense with Spagnuolo, we get it. They're not as explosive as before. They are getting Isaiah Pacheco in this game. And last week, Kareem Hunt, they actually gave the football to 30 times and worked out in their favor. Good win over the Colts. But I look at the Dallas Cowboys team and say, yes, they made some trades at the deadline. Queenan Williams is a big deal on that defensive line. I get it. But that secondary is still suspect. The Philadelphia Eagles are in a funk on offense right now. They just were a rudderless ship for 3 quarters in that game. I don't think Kansas City is going to be that way. So let me start here, Joe. That Dallas defense, how does it hold up against Kansas City? Or are you buying back in on Dallas, who went up against the lowly Raiders and looked good? And then the Eagles had a miraculous comeback because the Eagles just bottom fell out in the second half. How are we approaching this game from a Dallas perspective?
Well, it's interesting here because the market believes Dallas, off that win against Philadelphia at home, with this new look defense, maybe a little bit undervalued in this spot. And I would tend to agree with him if this game was on, I don't know, Donnie, Sunday. But it's on a short week. And history tells us the Chiefs, not just the Chiefs, but when we get these Thursday games at this point in the season, right? Week 11, Donnie. This isn't week 4, this week 5, right? This is after week 11. Here we are, week 13. there is a reason why the Chiefs are a road favorite, because road favorites on Thanksgiving, Donnie, 25-1 straight up, 20-6 against the number since 2004. And it makes sense. That's a trend that makes sense to me, Donnie, because again, we're past the point of, it's variance. We don't know what the team really. We know what these teams are. The books know what these teams are now here heading into week 13. And for the Chiefs to be a field goal or more favorite, they are a field goal or more favorite on Thanksgiving for a reason. It's the only thing keeping me off backing Dallas, is because that trend makes a lot of sense to me given where we are in the season and given the fact that you can have a great defense now, but Mahomes is you still got to stop Mahomes and that offense, and I have my questions.
Taking a look here, Ari Mirov had a tweet yesterday. Says he's confident, saying the Cowboys in the Chiefs game on Thanksgiving, the most watched regular season game in NFL history. Now, understand this. Nielsen did change the ratings this year, so everything is up. So maybe he's just going to get a boost because the ratings sort of are tipped on the scales this year, but we'll find out. Everybody loves that 4 o'clock game, but it does add intrigue because last week, this game again would have been dead on arrival. Now you got a little bit extra juice here. Do you believe, Joe, that this game is going to be the most watched Thanksgiving game in history?
Well, I believe Nielsen wants it to be. So since they're the only actual company that can actually measure this, then yeah, whatever they say, I'm with it, Ari. I'm with you. I'm sure they will make this the highest watch game. And it makes sense, right? It's the middle game. It should be competitive. It's telling you, even though you got a road favorite here, unlike the other two games. But yeah, I could see this being the part of the day where everybody just kickbacks, the most eyeballs. It's going to be fun. And listen, the only thing we can hope for is we have been through some Thanksgivings, Donnie, where not exactly the most competitive games. I still remember where I was when the butt fumble happened. It was awful, ruined my Thanksgiving. So let's just hope we have quality games here across the board.
Yeah, maybe they'll get a little snow and Leon Leck can show up and knock a fumble around and give the Dolphins the victory here. Those were some great days. The Randy Moss, incredible performances. We've had some legendary Thanksgiving performances here. Maybe we get one out of the two quarterbacks, Joe. Dak Prescott, 252.5 as his prop. Patrick Mahomes, 267.5 live as his prop. Touchdown props to throw. Dak Prescott over 1.5, minus 132. And look at Mahomes. They ain't letting you get that 1.5. It's over 2.5 at a plus 154 price point. If you look at the total in that game, I got to tell you, still leaning towards the under in this game too, Joe.
I'm with you. I agree with that, but I also think both of these guys are going to have some success throwing the ball here in this matchup. It would not shock me at all. I think the big question is who wins this time is going to be who can actually run the ball better. And you mentioned that it's kind of been tough for Kansas City to do it. It's not going to be easy with this new front that the Cowboys have. But I think it's all going to come down to who can control the line of scrimmage. And, Dallas might have the edge there with their running game in Williams.
It looks like Guyton's going to be down for this game. You take a look at the practice reports here for Kansas City. The one thing I was looking there for is Taylor. Juwan Taylor had full practice, so he was probably going to go, which I don't know if that's even a good thing. Out of Pro Football Focus, he's like the 79th rated tackle out of 83 tackles, so I don't know how much big of a difference that's going to be. But CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens, a great 1-2 combo. Also, Joe, CeeDee Lamb's dropping a lot of passes as of late. Did we get a big drop out of CeeDee Lamb on Thanksgiving Day?
Better not, because they're going to need him. That's a hell of a 1-2 punch, Donnie, when you got those two guys, pick your poison. You can't double one and leave the other in single coverage and man-on-man. So it's going to be interesting to see what Spags does here. But listen, Dallas, I think, has got a little confidence right now, and it feels like, Kansas City's that wounded dog. I think both those guys are absolutely worth a anytime touchdown bet there, because I think one, if not both, will find pay dirt.
I love the double up, Joe. We're just looking at FanDuel right now, plus 135, plus 155. Good chance they both score. But if there's a touchdown or two being thrown by Dallas, one of those guys is catching it unless Ferguson snags one there at a plus 220 price. The nightcap on Thanksgiving, that's Cincinnati taking on Baltimore. That line is a touchdown favorite for Baltimore at home. It's 51.5 as a total. Once again, Baltimore on the injury report. It's Lamar Jackson, practiced in full yesterday. He's clearly not the quarterback running-wise that he was just a few short years ago. That has a lot to do with every single leg, bone, / hamstring / soft tissue muscle you can have in your leg. That's been injured for Lamar. but they are a touchdown favorite in this game. You're not going to have T. Higgins in this game. Jamar Chase is coming back. I like the points here with Cincinnati. And I don't know what I'm getting out of Joe Burrow, but that's not even a handicap, Joe. It's what I'm actually getting out of that Baltimore offense. Watching it, Joe, it just seems like Derrick Henry's lost a little bit of a step. And again, he ran a lot on Sunday. Quick work week here. Yep. How healthy or how fresh is he going to be? It seems like it's Zay Flowers or nothing on that offense on the outside.
I think this is the perfect live betting game, Donnie. And let's hope that Burrow comes out. They script him up, him and Jamar Chase, and all of a sudden it's 7-0 Cincinnati before you blink an eye. And then that's when I'll be looking to get in on Baltimore. The market is telling you, and think about it. It's not like Flacco wasn't averaging 28 points a game for Cincinnati. Points have never been a problem here. It's always been the defense. But what does it say when, okay, you bring in Joe Burrow? He's not going to drop 40 points in a game. So we don't even know how rusty he's going to be. And yet the market is moving 3 points, Donnie. I mean, that's all about what the market thinks of Baltimore. I think it has very little to do with the situation with Cincinnati. They will get the points, but can they stop Baltimore enough to actually win this game?
Yeah, not a great Jets team last week that Baltimore played, and that score was 23-10 at the end. But also understand this: they sleptwalked through a lot of that football game, and also a monster fumble inside the 5-yard line by Breece Hall that could have changed the entire complexion of the game and maybe gave the Jets a victory here. I think sometimes we look at these lines like, "Hey, Baltimore should be able to handle the business. Cincinnati is bad. That defense is bad." I'm telling you right now, that normal Baltimore offense would put 40 on Cincinnati. That's not the offense that we've been seeing over the past couple weeks in this spot here. But some fun to take a look at here. The touchdown prop market, Joe. Derrick Henry, minus 230. Jamar Chase, minus 120. Everybody else manageable out there. Any looks there?
Andrews, for me, always in these kinds of games, in these spots. And by the way, Baltimore has a distinct coaching advantage here.
Distinct coaching advantages there. Let's take a look also at some football action on a Black Friday. The Philadelphia Eagles and the Chicago Bears. Both teams 8-3. Let's get after it next.
The future of the prediction markets, I think, at least for now, may be in the hands of the federal courts. But the good news for those who support prediction markets is that these court battles may last for another 2 to 3 years before we get clarity around the law. And nominee Seelig was handpicked by Donald Trump, not because he was neutral on prediction markets, but because he would do nothing to slow it down.
Newswire, only on SportsGrid.
A huge number out there on Cason Wallace to win Defensive Player of the Year at 500-1. That is worth your attention. And a number that I talked about before the season that I still think should be lower is Mark Daigneault to win Coach of the Year at 11-1 in the NBA. If they win 70, he's a lock for top 3. If they win 73, it's his.
Game time decisions, only on SportsGrid.
What are those things called?
A shooting star.
Yeah, okay, I'll go with that one. Like it just burns up quick, and you love it while you can see it, and bing, it's gone in the blink of an eye.
Right.
That's my fear for Cam Scatterby.
Yeah, and that's not a big deal, but I will say it's weird, and it seems like he really enjoys that attention, which is all fine because he's a young guy, but possibly dangerous in a city like New York.
The Craig Carton Show, only on SportsGrid.
Close to $1 million in volume being traded right now in the Offensive Player of the Year. If you did put $100 down on Jonathan Taylor, that would pay back $143, so a 43% increase on your money that you had. There are a lot of long shots in here, but it doesn't feel like those would be good bets. Like, hey, I'm going to put it on Justin Herbert. Well, yeah, if Justin Herbert wins it, Joe, a $100 wager would pay back $10,000. They even have a market for if you want to bet Malik Neighbors.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Turkey Day, what it means to play on Thanksgiving. A lot of people play on Thanksgiving. You don't have to be in high school or college or professional sports to actually do that. Most people get out there in the front yard or the backyard, throw it around for a little bit, come in and eat some turkey and have a day of it. Here's Joe Burrow talking about a little Thanksgiving Day action.
Always liked one to play on this day.
I think just like a lot of kids, you grow up going through Thanksgiving, you have your meals with your family, and then you go and sit on the couch, and typically there's not a lot on, except football. Back in the day, it was Lions and somebody. You go watch Matthew Stafford throw for 300, 400 some yards with Calvin Johnson and probably lose the game, but it was fun to watch. Those are memories that you have, and so I kind of always wanted to be the person out there.
I like Joe Burrow. He's quirky as hell. Remember, Joe, when he got his house robbed there, and he wasn't pissed that they took anything, but that the public found out who his girlfriend was, man? He's an interesting dude. He is.
Was that a hair clip? Like what? what was he? What was he wearing? Like what is? I don't know. I mean, Burrow he's a trippy dude, man. What is that exactly, Donnie? Is that a rubber band? Is that like is he serving school lunch? What are we doing here, Burrow? My goodness.
I think that's just the Cincinnati Bengals saying they didn't want to pay for a headband. They just give you that because there's no tourists being cheap all over the place. You know what I mean? Like, and by the way, he is such a terrible dresser as well, but a quirky dude that can play football and absolutely ball out. So he's certainly a fun watch, but just talking about Thanksgiving, and he's right about that. Again, the travel game was Detroit. Turn it on your TV. It's going to be entertaining. Detroit's going to get their butt handed to them, and then you move on to the Dallas Cowboys game. Now, tradition in the NFL has begun again, Joe. The Amazon Prime Friday, Black Friday football game. It's going to take place in Philadelphia, who the Eagles had a massive collapse. The Bears beat the Pittsburgh Steelers. If the season ended today, the Bears would actually win their division here and not the Green Bay Packers or the Detroit Lions. The Eagles sit at 8-3. They're going to win the division, but now you want to make sure you get back on track. And I got to tell you, if you're setting a line right now that is asking the public just to take the Chicago Bears, you got that line, people. It's +7. The total is 44.5. And I always say this moniker. That line is there for a reason. They didn't pick that out of a hat. You might see that and be like, that's crazy. The Eagles can't score on offense. The Bears are red hot. Buyer beware, Joe. Or should they beware?
Well, listen. They're 8-3, the Chicago Bears, right? No,
they are.
All you can do is win the games in front of you, right? But when you dive just a little deeper here, Donnie, they're 8-3 with a negative 3-point differential. And that is because they lead the league in turnover margin here. What, at +15, +16, Donnie? We all know that, yes, while all you can do is win the games on your schedule, at some point, that is unsustainable. You can't keep winning games with a negative point differential. It's going to come back and bite you. And this could very well be the spot that it comes back and bites them, Donnie, because if they don't get 3 turnovers, there's a good chance they might be struggling to put points on the board in this game.
Now, the games that the Eagles have struggled, and they did struggle in Dallas. They looked really good in the first half. Like, wow, look at that, 21 points for the Philadelphia Eagles. When ice cold, couldn't run to save their life in the second half. Every time they got a play, got called back on a penalty. But let's go back to previous 2 weeks. You had really good competition that you played. You beat the Packers and you beat the Lions. No thanks to the offense, it was all the defense. But what was the sort of the, commonality, let's just say, between those games? You played in Green Bay. That was a cold night there. Okay. You played at home against Detroit, a cold, blustery night. I'm looking at midday on Friday here in Philadelphia. You say, okay, look at that. 42 degrees at kickoff. That's not too bad. Joe, sustained winds at least 15 miles an hour or higher. Windy conditions. Who does that benefit? Like the Bears can run the football. The Eagles can't run it. I'm not saying the Eagles are going to lose this football game. They're favored by 7. They're supposed to win. But how am I supposed to grade my Philadelphia Eagles by going, they throw it to 2 people. It's A.J. Brown. It's Devontae Smith. They run it with 1 person in the backfield, and that is Saquon Barkley, because for some reason Jalen Hurts doesn't run the football anymore. How is the attack point on the Eagles offense going to fare against the Chicago Bears? Are we throwing it in windy temperatures? Are we finding a running game out here? I'm perplexed by this handicap on Friday.
Yeah, listen, and that's why I would avoid the side and concentrate on the total, Donnie, because if it's the one thing we know about the Eagles, is that if they're still going to struggle, and I think there will be parts of this game where they struggle to move the ball. However, I do think the defense of Philadelphia at home, I believe Caleb Williams is due for one of those games, Donnie, where it's not going to work out all that well for him. I don't see a ton of points in this game. I think the total or the team totals are much more, have more value than trying to figure out whether or not they can cover the 7 points. That's where I would look, because I don't see a ton of offense in this game.
Yeah, I almost look more to the rushing props here, Joe, and take a look at those rushing props, not from an Eagles perspective. With Saquon Barkley, 76.5. Again, they're begging you to take the under on that. Does he have a breakout performance after what we saw the past couple of weeks? I don't know. But windy conditions, you're probably going to hand him the football, Joe, 15 to 20 times in this game. Yeah. He should get 76. But understand this. Caleb Williams is listed at 20.5 rushing yards. If it's cooler temperatures, the kid's athletic against a good pass rush, he should be able to get outside the pocket. His last 5 games, Joe, with rushing, 24 yards, 53 yards, 63 yards, 26 yards, and 21 yards. His rushing prop once again this game, Joe, 20.5. I think the kid's going to run a little bit, and I'd say he gets around 25-plus yards in this one.
I agree. I think that's a great way to look at it. I think that's good. I would also keep an eye on Colston Loveland because they apparently have figured out they actually drafted him, Donnie.
Oh, wow.
As the season has gone on. Yeah, can you believe it? They actually have decided to throw the ball his way, and I think maybe that's a way you can attack that defense, too, behind them linebackers. They're going to be aggressive. I think that's going to be his out. I think he could be poised to have a big game as well.
Joe, we just talked about the Dallas Cowboys. They throw a touchdown pass, you know probably who it's going to. I love this every week, and it usually cashes. A.J. Brown, plus 155. Devonta Smith, plus 180. Ooh. If you get one touchdown pass, you split them there, Joe. That's good money out there.
I'm with you, Donnie. I agree. I think Swift is it's either cash it or bust it, but you know who's getting the attempts for Philadelphia.
Pro football, we love it. But how about a big weekend in college football? Let's get it kicked off next, right here on the Early Line.
Eight 3-minute rounds. The gloves are 10 ounces. And Anthony Joshua weighs like 250 pounds. So I'm not really sure how this is going to end up happening. But this is one of those. Normally, I don't give credit to the Paul brothers. And, I give them credit for being great on social media and creating a lot of buzz for the sport. I give him credit for getting in the round with Anthony Joshua. This is not like a Mike Tyson fight when Tyson's 60 years old.
Newswire. Only on SportsGrid.
Goff and Mahomes were never taken serious. Hurts won't be even if they're the 1 seed. Jonathan Taylor plays running back. Stop. Mahomes lost the head-to-head to Josh. Can I confidently eliminate every single person booked behind Josh Allen to at least beat out Josh Allen? So I'm in a head-to-head with Stafford May?
Game time decisions. Only on SportsGrid.
Let's take a look at a couple of narratives here and play a good game of fade or not fade. And first up, well, the idea that the Chiefs are going to put it all together and win the AFC West, well, that's absolutely gone. Absolute fade from this point on, Donnie, with the Chiefs. Their 10-year reign is over. It's done with.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.
Football contest season is back, and so is the Las Vegas Football Contest Show. Season 2, the sharpest football contest show in the land. Focusing on all 3 Circus Sports contests and the Westgate Superbook Super Contest, we handicap the games and release our contest picks every week of the season. Featuring Super Contest champions Brady Cannon, James Salinas, and former NFL player Mike Pritchard, all team will have you prepared this season like none other. Check us out every weekend right here on SportsGrid.
College football, can you believe it? And it's tough to say at this point, Joe. Well, we sit here on November the 26th. Do you remember me and you talking about week 0? Wow, look at this. Like Hawaii's playing. This is going to be great, but we got to wait till week 1 to get a good game because it's going to be Texas and Ohio State. The final week of the regular season, which is rivalry week here. It's amazing how quick and how much fun football season is, but we still have a lot of football left over. There was a television program on last night, Joe. It's a college football playoff show. People are angry. They can't explain themselves. There is no explanation because you're supposed to win it on the field, but that's not what happens in college football. You only take a select group of teams and have odd ways to get into the tournament, and away you go. But if we look, Ohio State and Indiana, number 1 and number 2. There's no surprises there. The top 10, Bama, you get it. But here's the interesting one. Miami is now still ahead of Utah in that 12th spot. There is a legitimate chance that Miami can get in with a little bit of help, and also what's going to take place in those championship games. Looking at that, let's just say top 12 here for 12 teams to compete. How are we feeling about that? Any movers and shakers? Any big-time upsets here that could shake up the standings?
Well, they're going to have to because the college football committee had a pretty easy job there, Donnie, because I believe the top 14 teams from the previous week all won in week 13. So there wasn't a whole lot of jockeying for position here as far as that goes. Tech remaining at number 5 is interesting because, they are a 3 or 4 touchdown favorite right now over West Virginia in West Virginia. I don't anticipate them having any problems there. Then if they win that, Donnie, then it really won't matter what the BYU Texas Tech round 2 for the Big 12 championship is. I think Texas Tech locks itself in. So I think there are a number of teams that just simply by winning, and whether or not they're in or win their conference championship, there are becoming fewer and fewer spots, I think, because of the resumes of these teams that are going to be available for the Miamis of the world or Utahs or BYUs here, Donnie.
Here's what's going to be the tough one, because the committee is praying this happens because there's no real arguments outside of Notre Dame and Miami and how that's playing out. Like if the college football playoff could make that go away, nobody would have any issues of where the seating would be. The teams were in, this team should be 8th instead of 7th. That's a nothing burger right there. But the one thing they can't escape is if this plays out, and Miami does finish, let's just say, 11th. But then again, the ACC champion goes, they don't get to go. And Notre Dame finishes 9th. I'm sorry. I think Notre Dame right now is a better football team than Miami. But that's not the point. You don't play things on paper. But if you have 2 teams within 2 ranking spots and one team beat the other with the same identical records, that doesn't make any sense. And that's what they can't get around or explain at this point. Their worst nightmare is going to be if Miami pummels Pitt and what they have to do with it. Because keep in mind, Pitt is ranked 22nd. This isn't a Virginia Tech or layup that you get again at the end of the season. That's a pretty good opponent that you're going to play on the road. If you beat by 2 touchdowns, that's going to change. Now, for me, just drop the group of 5 team, put Miami in, and nobody has any issues. But we're staring down the barrel of, in the end, all be all, will it be that, you left Miami out, they could have won a national championship? Probably not. It's just bad optics as it sits here, Joe. And I'm going to ask you this, because a lot's going to go down this weekend. We're not going to be here on Thursday or Friday. Do you think Miami has a legitimate chance to get in? Because it's not a Powerball long shot. They need a couple minor adjustments and a win at Pitt, and they're probably getting in.
Well, if they win convincingly at Pitt, they may need a little bit of help. And maybe the help, Donnie, that they're going to need is by Lane Kiffin announcing he is leaving Ole Miss. Because what does the committee do if the head coach won't be there and all of a sudden walks away from the pro? They kept Florida State out a couple of years ago because they lost a quarterback. What happens if the head coach at Ole Miss is like, yeah, listen, great season, guys. You're going to have to win. You're going to have to go to the playoffs without me. What does the committee do then, Donnie? Could Ole Miss automatically drop out and open up a spot? That could be the kind of help Miami needs.
Yeah, it could. By the way, in the SEC, Joe, let's just say Alabama beats Auburn. Are they automatically in the SEC championship game if they win that game? Because the Bulldogs are 7-1, but obviously,
yes.
So A&M's going to get in, but who's the number 2 team? Would it be Alabama if they win? They're in.
But it would be Georgia. It's going to be Georgia.
But Alabama
1 and 2. Whoever number 1 and 2 is, except, and that's why if Texas A&M loses this week, then it becomes a tiebreaker situation because you'll have a lot of one-loss teams in the SEC.
So wait, you're telling me that Georgia is going to get in the college football playoff, or excuse me, in the SEC game over Alabama if they have the same record in the SEC because they're ranked higher?
Tiebreakers. Correct.
That's
tiebreakers.
Why do we even
tiebreakers
play
in the
head-to-head
SEC.
anymore?
Right.
That's
tiebreakers in the SEC. It's crazy. I know.
I am losing my mind right now on how we're doing this. But hour number 2's next. Don't lose it all the way.
Yep.